Okay, good morning. So we're up to Shin Chof Aleph Seif Yud Zayin, and hopefully we'll finish off Shin Chof Aleph today. So Yud Zayin Mutter La'asois Yeinumlin. What is that? It's a mixture of old wine and honey and pepper, because that's a drink. But you can't have yain aluntis, which is wine, old wine, and water and oil and a farsimain, because that's medication. That's always the rule. If it's a Michael Briam, you can have it. You can have chicken soup if you got a bit of a cold. That's not a problem because regular people eat chicken soup. Or you can have a whiskey if you got a sore throat or headache or whatever you have whiskey for. But not if it's l'shum refuah. You can't say I'm doing this in order to have refuah. You can't eat medication which is only and clearly for refuah. Says the Mishnah Berurah Zayin Samachtes Yein Mulin Hainu LaArvin LaAchlin Kumushahain, to eat to drink this thing in that way. But to whisk it and then to strain it is also because that's already a tircha. It's a lot of preparation. Also litroif kosav maril also lotes kida latoich chaymeitz lasos tibble. You can't make this sort of dip for lasos beitzim koshim to make hard-boiled eggs in petrolezin b'chaymetz. I'm not sure what that is exactly. Petrolosia? Do you know what that is? What is that? Petrozilia is like a herb. What? A herb, some sort of herb. Okay, so to do it to the eggs with this herb with chaymetz is also. Why? The domi lehilmi, because that's similar to the mei melach. What's that? The hu mei melach and mavul el sif based. You can't make a very strong concentrated saltwater mix, and this is similar to that. That's only when you've got a very strong. Remember we said 2/3 salt and 1/3 water. If you have a little bit of this, the ingredients, would be even the maril would say it would be okay. B'seif base. Okay. Shehul refuah v'chol dov shehul refuah amru chazal la asru chazal lasos gezer shem shchichas hamonim. V'lochein afilu also me'erev Shabbos also lishteisa. And therefore, even if you made it prior to Shabbos, you can't do it because it's anything which is clear that it's l'shem refuah. You can't eat or drink it on Shabbos. Okay. Yudches.
Dipped in whiskey.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so if it's got to be clear that you're not doing it the shum refuah. So to have a whiskey because you've got a cold, then fine. So long as you don't say I'm having this whiskey because I've got a cold. So you can drink, and if your machshava is that and you drink it because you've got a cold, you drink or chicken soup or whatever something like that. Now, so if your normal way is to take a bit of whiskey and to put it in the challah, and put it in the thing, so I suppose then that would be what?
Lemon sip.
Like a lemon tea. A lemsip, yeah, that's more for if you're not well, no? Mistama, yeah, that's nikah that it's the shum refuah. Yeah, probably. Okay, Yudches. Ein sheirin es achiltis lo b'poshim lo b'tzoynim. So you're not allowed to soak this chiltis in warm or cold water. Shederech l'shros refuah, because that's some sort of medical thing. I'm not exactly sure what the chiltis is. Okay, maybe it will become clear from the Shura, I can't remember. But it seems it's clear that you're doing it the Shum Refuah. But you can dip it into vinegar, or metabel pita, and you can dip your bread into it, because that's then it's not evident that you're doing it the Shum Refuah. If it was all sort of soaking from yesterday, then you can do it on Shabbos. Yom Chamishi v'Yom Shishi tzarich l'shleisuk on Shabbos, and you've done it on Thursday and Friday, and you want to also have it on Friday on Shabbos, mutter, that would be allowed. So we'll talk about that in a second about taking a course of medication. If it falls on Shabbos, you have a 7-day prescription antibiotics. How do you do that? We'll come to that in a second. Shekachu derech refuah also l'shleisuk shiva yomim. He changes it to the Mishnah Berurah changes it to shleish yomim zachazeh, because let's say the medical advice was to take this 3 days in a row, Thursday, Friday, Shabbos, then you'd be allowed to take it on Shabbos. Hilkach mutter l'shleisuk b'tzoynei v'litnei b'chama. Therefore, you can soak it in cold water and put it litnei b'chama and put it out in the sun. Because the medical advice was to take this course of medication. Says the Mishnah Berurah Ayin Aleph, Sheshaisin mei hashriya leyukra deliba. The chilt is again, I'm not 100% sure what it is, but you would have it in those days. It would be strengthening the heart. Lishroisei tzarich leima lishtoisei, to drink it. V'atam tezel Michael k'tzas prim, because some healthy people would eat this, would drink this. V'lo min kamilsa shul, which is the rule always. And if healthy people here in this town don't eat it, then you are bound by that. Mutter, ein Gimel, Shiva Yamim, 3 days. Kadis the Gemara, like the Gemara talks about. It would be allowed because of the sakana, you even put it near the fire. Okay, if you look at 117, which in my one is in the back of the book, he brings this about the course of medication. So he says there, it's on page 56, 117, but so you got a course of medication, and let's say you go to the doctor on Wednesday and he tells you to take this for 5 days. So Shabbos is part of the in the course of the duration of the medication. If he'll be endangering himself. Because the Shulchan Aruch says you're allowed to. And if you jump a couple of lines, he says who says that in a situation even where there's no sakana, you got let's say you got a fever or you got an infection, a chest infection or something like that, and you've taken a course of antibiotics, then it will be okay to take it. And not continuing the course of medication will cause some sort of damage, or if you won't get better if you don't take it for the whole duration of the course of medication. So that is the general rule. Okay, let's finish off your test. Shum uboise. Shum is garlic. Uboise is some sort of unripe fruit, or melilos, grains. Sheriskun mer Shabbos. You've beaten them on Erev Shabbos. Imuchusar dicha. If you've still got to do dicha, which is like the second stage, which is pounding it or mashing it, also ligmer dichos Shabbos. Then you can't finish off on Shabbos. V'imein muchusar melashchika, which is the third stage. You've already been merasik and you've already been done the dicha, and now you've got to just grind it further. Mutter ligmer b'Shabbos. That's allowed to do. Lefichach mutter ligmer shechikas harifos, which are like oats. Be'etz para b'kader b'Shabbos. You're allowed to crush and to mash porridge oats on Shabbos. Once you've taken it off the flame, and you want to, I see people at the table do this sometimes on Shabbos. They've got food and they like mashing it. They like pulverizing it in some way. So we'll see the details of this, what you can and can't do. So far from the Mishnah Berurah, it says that there are the Mechaber. I mean, it's the third stage you can do. Let's do the Mishnah Berurah till there. Sheriskon. There are 3 stages, if you like, to extract the liquid of the content. Risuk, v'dicha, v'shchicha. These are the 3. Risuk is like the initial crushing. V'dicha is more of the pounding, and shchika is the grinding. V'shchicha yosim v'dicha is the third and final, more comprehensive one. If you've done stage 1 and 2, it's as if you've already finished it off from before Shabbos. In that third stage of that, further grinding, you're taking your porridge, which has already been prepared before Shabbos, and you're just mashing it a bit more, that would be okay. That you shouldn't stir it vigorously. Harifais, so these are these porridge oats. Maisedisa, these barley, kernels. Vatam, kivin shedova. Shekfar dochu oisom b'medoicha nisbashtu kol tzarchan. Since you've already pounded them and they've been cooked fully, ve'ein mechusar l'shchika mat, and all they need is a little bit of grinding, then you're okay. Now, if you look at 121, this is a very, very interesting footnote. Let's say you want to mix up vegetables and meat and soup, and you've got it all together, and you want to mix it all up. Das Hagonim Nissen Karelitz is if they've been very well cooked. Now imagine like you've got a soup, a chicken soup, and you've got some carrots and you've got some chicken in there, and you want to just sort of, I don't know, for yourself or for an older person, a younger person, you want to just mash it so it becomes like all sort of mashed. Then, if they've been very well cooked, so long as you don't do it very vigorously, then gentle mashing would be okay. Now, what about this? V'af peris yirokos shelo yisrasku me'erev Shabbos. So too, you've got fruit or you've got vegetables which have not been mashed. I'm reading footnote 121, the second paragraph, which have not been mashed properly on Erev Shabbos. If they've been cooked and they're very soft, but it's easy to mash them, and therefore it'll be okay. You've got fruit or vegetables which have been sort of softened by cooking, and they're very easy to mash them. There's no shaila, there's no problem of doing tachina. So that's a useful thing to know. Sometimes you get like a baked apple, or you've got makes pears soaked in like a wine liquid or something. So they become very, very soft. So to mash those, according to this, would be okay. Next paragraph. And what if sometimes you have fruit or vegetable which have not been cooked, but they've just become very soft. Imagine like you've got a pear or an apple. A pear is sometimes better. That you just you've left it for several days, and now it's become really soft. In the way that you pick it up, that part of it will just already fall off. It's become so soft. Again, there's no problem of teichen over there. They're so soft, they're already considered as if they've been grinded already. And therefore, you can even take the regular fork with the end of the fork and just mash it regularly. However, if you've got a banana which is very soft because it's quite old, and they haven't been cooked, for bananas there is an isatochen. Moshe says that only cooking the fruit enables you to do this, but not just because they're old and very soft. Not something which is just inherently soft. Okay, so therefore, if you've got a very soft fruit which is naturally soft, Rosh Zalman says if it's so soft that it just sort of falls apart, that would be okay. Rabbi Moshe says not. But either way, everyone would agree that if it's cooked or boiled and it's become very soft, then vegetables or fruits, then to mash it further would be no problem. Okay, let's just finish up. Oh, we're going to come to that in a second. Very good. I think we're going to come to it. He doesn't mention it, but let's see, and if not, we'll talk about it. Okay, says the. Let's just finish off this sif. Okay, the Ramah. Well, I think we're up to the Ramah. You're allowed to smooth food on Shabbos. Now remember, we've spoken about smoothing things. So say for example, why? Because you're allowed to eat, you could eat it without this. So say for example, you've got some peanut butter, you've got some chocolate spread or some, whatever, marmite, and you want to spread it over the food, that's no problem. Because you could technically eat it without spreading it, and therefore there's no shayla of memareach with foods over here. But if you want to be machmir, for example, you want to spread some apples or some mashed apples or something over your bread, then tovel of bracha, then very nice. Then tovel of bracha. Let's just do the Mishnah Berurah till there. Where are we? Ayin Tes. Achashem Muridan. Oh no, that's we haven't done it yet. Okay, let's do that. Ayin Tes. Yeah. So dafka, you can take it out of the fire when it's off the fire, but once it's on the fire, stirring it is a problem of megas, which is a problem of bishul. You can never stir something, or you can often not stir something, which is when it's on the flame. Okay, mishum mamachik. So what is this going on? Mamachik. Yeah, you're allowed to spread food over bread or something because you could eat it as it is, and there's no problem of mamachik. Hainu, the shaiva v'zefes. What is mamachik? Mamachik is when you take wax or tar, things which you spread, which are moldable. But when it comes to food, we're not worried about that. Why not? Because you could eat it without spreading it. Al-kain lav midikovid. You haven't really done anything. Also, but if it would be impossible to eat it without it, then it would be also. I think you could make a case for Marmite, but if you can't just spoon it out and eat it. We once had guests from the yeshiva in Berlin, like Russian yeshiva bochurim, and they'd never seen Marmite before. And they came years ago. They came sukkahs, and I came today a bit later. I didn't see him do it, but he'd taken a Marmite and he spread it really thick, like thick jam, on his bread. And nearly passed out. Poor fella. Lucky he was Russian and that was tough. Yeah. But yeah, same thing, no problem. You could eat it. Very good, Yossi, very good. You either love it or you hate it, right? Very good. Okay, below Alkain. So again, so you're allowed to spread the food on mamarech, on food, because you're not doing anything. You could eat it directly. Because we say that there is ibud for food midrabanan, commercial cost of hey. For who adin the yesh b'machik midrabanan ve'efsha ta'afilu la'isa suda also. And therefore, even in that meal, it would not be allowed. Okay. Tovel of bracha, and therefore, if you can avoid it, better. But to spread cooked apples over bread, so to oil or butter, what you were talking about, then bevadai shari, that would certainly be okay. Okay, let's go back now to the last line of the Ramah. Also, likleif shumim, you can't peel garlic or batzalim or onions when you're doing it for to leave for a later time. Avalech la'alta shari. Okay, this is what I was thinking of. Yeah. So likleif says the Mishnah Berurah Pei Gimel Mishum Beira u'chashem shebemavayre maklinin le'el k'sheber oichel min ha'pseles u'samach l'suda. Just like we allow you to eat oichel miteich pseles. Remember, the 3 rules of Beira is oichel miteich pseles, miyad and biyad. So if it's oichel miteich pseles, you're allowed to have it samach l'suda. Kain hu hadin bezeh. So too over here, the same applies, and it can be done samach l'suda to peel the garlic or the onion samach l'suda. Shumim b'tzalim v'uadin tapuchim ve'egoizim shkedim v'chiyetzi bozeh. In Pesach ploimin, which he says at the bottom of shazifin, plums. V'zorik hagarinim hakoshim la'niach lachasman. You want to take out the pips, and just leave them for a later time. Have a beira. Over tapuchim ki agav the yeshlem agam kein to osav miyat lepeh, but to eat it straight away, shari litain, that would be okay. Ve'efsha aflo isasuda shari, and even for that meal will be okay. Now take a look at 126, a very interesting footnote, and we'll finish with this. V'chazan ish kosav shelo yasir es hagarin mi'apri. Now this comes back to the old question of eating watermelon and all these things. So how do you do that? So Ella, what does the Chazon say you should do? Ella yoichiz es hagarin, you take biyad achaz v'yimshech es apri biyad hashniya. Now I found this always very, very hard to do. You hold the pip back. Let's say you've got like a plum or something. So you've got like cut in half. So if you hold the pip and then you eat the fruit from it, then that would be the way to do it. Etc. So, and therefore to eat it in the normal way would also be okay. Here we go. Now here's watermelon. So you've got watermelon, and it's got seeds in it. When you've got watermelon, you should not just pick out the seeds. You should have a piece of the watermelon with the seeds in the watermelon still. And then you take out the pips from your mouth. And that's how the Chazon Ish says as well. If you can't do this, for example, you've got a kid who's wants to eat some watermelon. So when it comes to watermelon, generally, if you can, eat the watermelon and then take the pits out afterwards, the seeds out afterwards. But if you can't, for example, you're feeding a kid, then to take the pits out just immediately before you give it to the child would be okay. That's quite an important halacha. If you can't, sort of shake out the seeds, there is what to rely on. Because otherwise there's problems of there's other problems. It's got to be dafka be samach l'suda. Okay, beseda. Let's leave it there. Okay.